So the NAIC GOES, as we like to call it, is replacing the AIRG, the Academy Interest Rate Generator, which has been used for life insurance companies since mid-2000s. And a couple of things have changed since that really needed to be refreshed. First, we're in a very different economic environment. Back then, people were worried about going back to the 80s, double-digit interest rates. Now they're worried about being the next Japan and having interest rates stay low for decades at a time. And that creates very different risks for life insurance policies. The other was more fundamental. Right now, the American Academy of Actuaries is the one taking care of it, and they're volunteers, not software vendors. So they decided that they wanted to get out of that business. And that's how Conning was fortunate enough to be selected to generate the GOES scenarios for the industry going forward. So in the past, companies were able to download the AIRG Excel spreadsheet and do a lot of work with that. With the new model, it's a software that's built, it's a proprietary piece of software. They're not able to necessarily do that. So it's changed a lot of the things that they're thinking about, but it's also a new model. So it's creating a lot of new ways to think about stressing the portfolio, stressing the liabilities that are really making companies rethink their overall risk strategy. And we think that the platform that this is built on, Conning's GEM, is uniquely fitted to be able to do that and help companies understand all those new risks that they're trying to understand. So companies have been using the AIRG, the current platform, for about 20 years. So they've built up a lot of tools specifically designed to how that model works and operates. And they're very comfortable with that from a senior management and a risk management perspective. So they want to bring all that over. But they also recognize that the new GOES platform is much more robust. A lot more asset classes, the ability to bring in derivatives, which become increasingly important for insurance companies. But it's a new platform, so they're trying to figure out how to do all the things that they're doing now while still taking advantage of all the new framework. And there's obviously a learning curve. They're going from something they've been using 20 years to something that's new to a lot of them. So it's an adventure, but we think we're working well and have the right platform to help them be able to take advantage of all those new features. Yeah, so one of the things that has been of quite an interest to a lot of the companies is how the new calibration, the new model, is going to lead to changes in their reserves and capital. So that wasn't the primary focus of this from the NAIC standpoint. They just wanted a more robust platform for today's environment. So there's not necessarily a goal to change the overall reserves or capital for the industry, but there will obviously be changes by individual products. So for instance, in a white paper that you can find out on our website, we talk about how much movement there is on interest rates and the ramifications for bonds. So you're likely to see potential for equities being much more attractive in this new environment than bonds were because of the calibration differences that you're seeing between the two models. Again, also along with all the other changes in being able to add in new asset class types that are becoming more and more important for insurance companies. That's basically my full-time job at this point, is helping companies understand this. So we've put out a white paper series on our website. We're doing a podcast, but we're also talking to a lot of companies, either who want to evaluate the software, who just want to understand from a standpoint of what is the change, why are we changing, what are the ramifications for their business, as well as what are the new features that they can take advantage of. Maybe things that they had to make assumptions about, like derivatives or volatility surfaces. As they continue to expand, they want to be able to understand what's available in the tool that can go beyond what they've looked at in the past, especially as their products continue to evolve. We look at things like vol control funds. Weren't considered back when the AIRG was built. And so being able to incorporate that along with the rest of the scenarios is a key development for them going forward. So right now, most insurance companies are focusing on running the scenarios for the new GOES framework. We've recently put out scenarios for December 2024, March 2025, and June 2025. And starting in September, we're going to be going on our regular T+1 monthly basis for the foreseeable future. So a lot of companies are just focusing on the mechanics. How do I get the files? How do I get the information that I need out of it? How do I put it into my overall system? But in doing so, that also allows them to start thinking about changes that they might want to make to their risk management process. For instance, the new model has a whole suite of corporate capabilities within it that weren't in the AIRG. So being able to think about how that changes their risk profile, whether they need to consider that as a new risk driver, or whether they need to rethink how they're getting data into their modeling system to better capture how they're actually managing the business. We think by taking advantage of that now, they'll be in a much better position when the regulations actually come in and they understand how the changes in starting conditions will impact their reserves. We see the evolution of economic scenarios in a couple of different realms. First of all, for better or worse, we continue to see new risks coming in the economics, whether it be changes in interest rate policy or changes in the economy at large. But we also recognize that insurance companies are becoming much more sophisticated. It's no longer a case where they've got 95% of their investments in corporate bonds and treasuries. Now they're looking at CLOs. They're looking at a wide range of private equity and hedge funds. And they need to understand how to put that into their overall framework. We really think that this platform allows us to grow, consider both new risks as well as new investments in a coherent and consistent framework across all of the different applications that companies have. And so that's why we're really excited about partnering with the NAIC on this going forward, not just to produce the scenarios, but think about how do we help the industry better manage their risk going forward.